Hey, podcast listener, welcome to Classroom Brew. The podcast where you're going to feel like, hey, are these my teachers? At a bar? Talking about everything? Yeah. Actually. Yeah. Welcome back to Classroom Brew. This is episode 70. So for this week, I might sound a little bit different. Maybe not. Actually, in the headphones, when I'm monitoring, it doesn't sound too much different. But I've been a little bit sick. Like the day before break was about to end, I started feeling kind of crappy, and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But still a little bit congested and all that stuff, but it sounded good enough that we could actually pull off an episode. For this episode, I've got a twisted tea. I had one of these last week as well, and it was good. So I got a few more at the store, and it's a little bit different. It's something that I can actually deal with the gluten and all that stuff. Yeah, it's not bad. So if you haven't already, please make sure you rate and review whatever app you're listening to. Subscribe and then tell your friends about the podcast. That really helps out the show, so we can continue to grow. If you want to actually be on the show, you can reach us, classroombrew@gmail.com. All that stuff that you guys are pretty used to me talking about. So before we get started, here's a quick little word from Brian, who you may know from the Lazy Teacher podcast.
Hey guys, it's Brian from the Lazy Teacher podcast. Right now you're listening to a killer teacher pod. If you're digging what you're hearing now, you might also like the Lazy Teacher podcast. We got tons of guests that come in. We're hitting topics of education, teaching, ranting, positive life choices. You're going to get a whole lot when you're checking in with the Lazy Teacher podcast. Check out the show. We're on all the podcatchers, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. It's always awesome to hear your feedback. Shoot me an email, Brian, BRIAN, at the LazyTeacherPodcast.com. If you haven't called the voicemail line, now is a great time to do that. It's 619-TEACH-51. 619-TEACH-51. And don't forget to support all the teacher pods that are out there. Next time you're on your social media, check out #TeacherPods. You're going to love all the podcasts that we've grouped together. See ya!
All right. So by the time this episode comes out, it will have already happened, but with 2019 starting, I'm recording this after our first week, so we're already 1 week in, and we already have a lot of kids that really haven't been showing up. So there's some kids that, like for example, we got 2 weeks off for Christmas and winter break, right? And I had a few kids that when they came back, they complained like, "Oh man, break was so short." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me! You took the week off before we went on break too, unexcused." So what, 3 weeks isn't enough for you? That's almost a month. There's some of these kids I haven't seen in a while. And it's not like they're there's some kids that are truant because they have different needs and stuff or stuff going on in their lives. But these are some of the kids that they admitted. They were just like, I didn't feel like it. I didn't want to go out. It was cold, even though it was only 50 degrees like the last week of school in winter. It's been pretty, you saw the montage at the beginning. It's been a very mild winter for Chicago. It happens to be snowing today, but it's not a school day today. It's a Saturday. So, I told you, still kind of sick. Like right now, you can kind of see it. Probably not from that window. It's probably too bright with the light. But it is like the first like big snow we've had in a while. And I thought we almost made it out of winter. You can almost thank climate change for that. Without any big snow, but here we are. Anyways, we've got some kids that haven't really been showing up to school, especially in 2019. Like I have one or two that haven't shown up at all. And one in particular, there's going to be a parent conference because we only have a few weeks left till the end of the semester. By the time this comes out, there will be about 2 weeks left till the end of the semester. And mathematically, passing isn't really possible. That sounds cold coming from a teacher, right? But mathematically, there's not a whole lot that they can do between now and the next 2 weeks to get their grade to at least a D. And I say that all the time. Like, you can't take 3 or 4 months of school and outweigh it in just 2 weeks. That's like the kid from that meme. Like, I know I haven't done anything all year. Like, I haven't done a fucking thing. But what can I do in the next 5 minutes to get an A? Like, you got to be kidding me. It's the same idea, but these kids are starting to realize it. And even if we pull them aside, they're like, I'll do it. But then they never actually change. So it's a little frustrating, but part of me thought, like, all right, honestly, there's some kids that they're asking for like a rescue packet or something like that, like a bunch of work they can do that somehow makes up for all the skills and assignments that they missed throughout the year. And they think that that can get them up to where they need to be. Honestly, for those kids, I'm not going to offer that. I don't do that. And they're probably going to fail and retake first semester U.S. history with me again. And honestly, that's probably okay. Rather than push them through the system, they probably should see what it's like to fail, see the consequences of their actions so that they figure, maybe I shouldn't do this again. They're not messing around here. So that's, honestly, it's part of life. If it's mathematically impossible, I don't want like a bunch of kids to be demotes, like they should be a junior, but they're actually a sophomore, or they should be a sophomore, but they're still a freshman. I don't want that to happen. But honestly, if they don't acquire the skills needed to pass, they shouldn't pass. If they aren't capable of going to the next round of classes or the higher level or a class that has a prerequisite, they shouldn't move on. And honestly, that's okay. It's not the end of the world if they fail 1 or 2 classes, as long as they make it up before they graduate, so they can still graduate on time, but it's going to happen. It's part of being a student. The other thing, one of my students, he's also a football player of mine. He was talking about like this was like the 3rd or 4th day back from break, and we had just gotten back from a field trip, and he was talking about like we were doing like a career research, trying to figure out like the education that you would need for certain jobs, things like that. And he decided to look up teacher because we went to a music workshop. We were working with professional musicians in a studio, and they learned like 4 instruments and they performed Sweet Home Chicago, represent Chicago, within 3 hours. Like, pretty impressive stuff. But this kid, he's doing research on like being a teacher. He's asking me a few questions because obviously I'm the guy in the room that has the education degree. And we were talking about master's degrees versus bachelor's degrees and all that good stuff. And he was like, yeah, I mean, that could be cool, but it's like, you guys got a lot of paperwork, and like, I like to teach people things and like use my knowledge and present it, but these kids, and I was like, yeah, honestly, that's my favorite quote of the day, because a student in particular recognized like, okay, there's a lot that is going on behind the scenes that maybe I wouldn't want to deal with. But the fact that he was just like, these kids, man, like that was just too good not to talk about. So it was cool that he was interested in it. I don't know if he's actually going to, but it gave me a pretty good laugh, especially I think like the period right before I already dealt with like the first fight that happened between 2 students, and everyone's okay. No one got hurt. I got there right before any punches were thrown, but it was just it was too perfect for the timing of everything. Man, I just realized I match the Classroom Brew logo. I've got some yellow on. I'm gonna have to start doing this more often. Instead of just wearing like the Classroom Brew shirt I've got, or random stuff, I gotta start wearing yellow, repping yellow. You'll also notice on Instagram, Brian from The Lazy Teacher and Laura Velez, who was on last week's episode 69, with the awesome story about a student peeing in a bottle. That made me think of like, I'm a genie in a bottle, baby. Got me peeing in a bottle, baby. Just sang on the podcast. But they were posting a thing about being a fit teacher. And Lauda and Brian, they obviously, like, they're getting up at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and they're working out by the time most people wake up. They sent me that, and they tagged me in it, and I was like, I refuse, guys. I'm not waking up that early. But that is actually going to be a goal of mine. I'm going to see if I can try to go to my gym, work out, shower, and all that stuff, and get to work before. When do I usually get there? About 7:30. That's about when I get to work. So it's possible. My gym's open at that time, but my goal is going to be to try to make it there a little bit earlier, because I've noticed that by the time I do get to the gym, usually in the evening or sometimes early afternoon, depending on if I have office hours or not, I'm exhausted. So that's something I'm going to try to do. It's, 2019 resolutions, all that stuff. I'm going to try it out, but I'm going to wait till second semester. So I still have a couple more weeks to kind of, get my shit all in order. Whew, excuse me. So with the field trip, the other cool thing, apparently there's an experience coming up with that Embark program where they have a guy that brings a bunch of exotic animals to the school, and they work on one of their core values. I'm assuming curiosity and bravery. So when I heard that he's bringing, like, I'm picturing Stephen Irwin, like, he's gonna be like, you want to check out these animals, mate? And it's like, okay, cool, let's do it. Like, clear my schedule, mate. I don't want to miss anything. That's gonna be me. Like, Mr. F, can you help me? No, mate. I got some animals to touch. Want to touch some cool shit? Fuck away from me. Like, that's gonna be me, because I want to touch some cool animals. I want to meet some animals. There was when I was a kid, we had this one assembly when I was in like elementary school where they brought like this huge boa constrictor type of thing, and they had like a bunch of staff to like carry it, and that way they could, like, we were all sitting in a circle, and they had to make sure that the boa constrictor like wasn't trying to like weave in and out of kids. Like, no mate, no killing today. Like, it can't happen, because that's what it was trying to do. Like, slowly, like, it was trying to slither in and out, but they wanted to make sure it was this perimeter. But there were so many staff members to make sure that none of these kids would die. And of course, I'm living proof that that it actually worked. Shit, that's a stupid accent that I tried to do. I think I got off task here, but no. Oh, so with kids that haven't been here, we've got this parent conference coming up, and this is a parent that that was like a long rant. Well, this is a student that I've called home on for a bunch of times, and most of the time it's like there's no working number, or the inbox is full. Like, you get that message like, the number you have called has the inbox that is currently full. How do they fucking say it? The number that you have called does not have a active voicemail. If you press 1, you can send a text message with your callback number. Like, that was the stupidest robot voice ever. But that's the shit that I always get, is when I call. And this is one of those parents. And so maybe it was the wrong number. I'm not sure. If I can meet with her, I don't remember if I have a prep or if it's a time where I'm teaching. I'm going to try to talk with this parent and figure out like what's going on. Because this is one of those students that it's mathematically not likely that they're going to pass. Like, if they every single day were doing stuff and did some makeup work and made up like 2 tests that they've missed out of a possible 3, then maybe it's possible. But I'm looking forward to meeting with them. Now, part of that, and it's not just dealing with parents, it's also dealing with students. I just realized, we'll get to this in a second, actually. I just realized something. But when I speak with these parents, it's incredible how much they place, like, responsibility-wise on the teacher to teach them. And for those of you that might have forgotten or don't know, I teach high school. So picture like a tub of cement, and you're mixing it, and as long as it's mixing, it's still good. But over time, even if you're mixing it slowly, it's going to solidify. This is the metaphor I use with my students all the time. In the beginning of the year, your grade is like that wet concrete. It's fresh. You can make it into anything that you want. But then later in the year, as you get closer and closer, maybe I should go this way for you guys. As you get closer and closer to the end of the year, then that concrete or cement, whatever, it's solidified. So set yourself up for success. So I'm going to try to, talk to this parent about this, make sure that they understand that at this point there was so much damage done. But more and more I'm seeing, with parents, like, they expect at the high school level, when these behaviors and habits haven't been set up, they're expecting the high school teacher to come in and somehow work a miracle with their student. Not to be like saying that these are lost causes, but it's kind of difficult at this point to change, the makeup of a student. I'm not saying all, but for the most part, it's really hard to do that. And the thing I just thought of, it'd be great if, like, anytime I get frustrated by like a parent or a student when they're talking, I can use that automated voice from the voicemail. Just be like, your child is being an asshole. Like anytime I get frustrated, like, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, like, I understand that your student is failing, but they haven't done... Interrupting me, I swear to God. Yep. Yep, I am their teacher. Well, no, it's not my job to... All right, cue the robot. Your child is the worst. They have not done... They have not done any work all year. You expect them to get an A, but they have not done any work but they have not done any work this school year in class. I wonder, like, if I were to... All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try that. I wonder if I could compare text to voice. We're gonna try this. We're gonna see how it would actually come out. Your son and / or daughter. Your son and / or daughter has not... All right, let's try this out. We're going to try... I just Googled text to voice. We're going to see just how accurate this would be. Let's try this.
Your son and or daughter has not earned an A. They need to show up to school every day and do their work.
Oh my God. That was too good. Oh. All right, what's something else that I would say? Like, oh my God. If I could activate that voice just anytime a parent or a student just made me mad or frustrated, like, Jeffrey, do not throw that in class. Be nice. Oh, God, you guys are getting quality content today.
Jeffrey, do not throw that in class. Be nice.
Oh my God. Oh, that's good stuff. Remind me to bookmark this. This is ttsreader.com. Oh my God. The robot voice. It's just imagine me in a conference. Just hi, Mr. Smith. How you doing? Why my kid have an F? Your kid has not done any work all year. Kids that come to my office hours. No, you may not get the exam from last semester because we are already in semester 2. I feel like it's just, you just go up and down, but there's just no wherewithal. But that's what I feel like they expect us to be, is just these customer service robots. And I've been out of retail a long time, but I can tell you right now, I could not stand being in customer service. Whether I was just, working in the hardware store or when I was at like department stores, couldn't stand it. But that would be so perfect. We just have like a voice, or maybe I could just have it bookmarked on my phone. Like, yeah, I hear your complaint. Let me just real quick. You're being an asshole. That'd be perfect every time. Just let me pull out my phone and get this conversational robot teacher voice ready for you, or this conversational robot customer service voice. Oh my God. I gotta try one more. What's one more? Maybe I should use it to like promote. Oh, there's different voices too. Let's try, UK. I want to meet some awesome animals. We're going to try, I should have done the Australian one, but we'll try that in a second.
I want to meet some awesome animals.
Not as good. Should have made it like, you want to meet some animals, mate? Steve Irwin, he's still got shooters, eh? You can tell this is the quality content episode of Robot Voices. Anyway. So for this week's episode, you could tell, I guess the theme is students not succeeding, and I guess responsibility. Sorry. So please make sure, if you are a parent, make sure that you're not leaving it on the teacher to actually foster these skills. I already had a fight in the first week of school, like in 2019, like first week back from break. You'd think everyone would be rested, and I already had to break up a fight. Now, granted, skinny kid, not so strong, which is great. That has never been the case where it's like, but I'm wondering if, like, has there been any consequence for this kid when they get home? Like, is it just like, oh yeah, you get a day of in school, and then one detention or whatever it is at every school, but there's no follow up at home. So it's like, all right, I don't care. It's not that bad. Like when I was in school, it sounds so old of me and my 25 years of being an elder. But for me, it was like, if you even got involved in any way, I'm pretty sure it was like a multiple day out of school suspension or expulsion, something like that. I'm just not seeing that as the case, and I'm not sure. I'm not saying I have a solution. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, the way that it was done and the way that it is done. I just know that I don't see a lot of change. Like, it's always the same few repeat kids that are causing problems in the building. And that's a problem. There's got to be something that can be done to make sure that, even though a lot of behaviors are kind of set in stone, back to the cement example, there's got to be something, that can that can help with this behavior. Because if they continue that trend, there's one kid from last year that was constantly doing these problematic behaviors. And I told him, like, look, man, I've worked in a hospital before, and every kid that does the types of behaviors you're doing is either incarcerated or they're dead. And it's sad, but it's true. So not to take it from, a light place to a dark place, but if these kids don't learn these skills at the home and also in school, I just don't know what's going to happen to them, when it's time for them to enter the real world. And that's a real concern that I have, at least. That reminds me too, there was someone that told me the other day that my grading policy is too harsh. And so for those of you that might not know, which is the majority of you, because most of you don't know me personally in real life, but my grading policy, if you miss an assignment, like let's say you were absent, as soon as you get back, you have 1 week to complete all the assignments that I gave to you. Now, if it's like they're gone for like a few months with hospitalization or something like that, that's a different case. But for the most part, it's, all right, you have the work, you now have a week. Because most kids, they get 1 day for it. So let's say it's 2 or 3 assignments, giving you 1 week. It's pretty generous. And I recognize they have other classes. I'm not trying to be insensitive to that. That's just my rule. So absent, unexcused or excused, you get a week. Now, if it's an assignment that you have a correction on, like you were there, you did it, or something like that, you have until the end of the unit to get a correction into me. Like, let's say they got 50% because they didn't finish it, but they turned it in the window that I assigned it. You have until the end of the unit. If you don't, the grade stands. And someone told me that was too harsh. Now, I don't know about you, but in the real world, if you take more than 3 to 4 weeks to do something that you were asked to do, whether you were sick or not, tough shit, right? So they were like, your grading policy is too harsh. You should allow them more time. I was like, I'm preparing them for the real world. What you doing? What's your policy? What's your magic answer? Huh? So that was the thing that really bothered me. But I guess I should have, you know what I should have done? My policy is to prepare them for the real world. What are you doing at your job? ? That's like that podcast with the crimes. There's a podcast where they were using like the text languages of like these serial killers. I think cannibals too. So they were ending everything. Like it would like read a sentence, and then at the end, like there was one sentence where it was like, "The thighs are the best part, yum," but there was just no punctuation. That's kind of what that reminds me of now. What else do I want to cover? By the way, shameless plug. If you'd like to support the show, or if you want more video podcast clips or video podcast episodes, like this is only the second full-length episode that you're getting, so you're welcome. You moochers, you. But if you'd like to see more of that exclusive content, I'm not going to do this every single episode. If I feel like it, sure. But if you'd like that every single episode, I can offer that as exclusive content. So patreon.com/classroombrew. If you become a patron, pledge. I don't know what the fucking tiers are, but if you pledge for the show, become a patron every single month, you will get that exclusive content. So again, patreon.com/classroombrew. That's patreon.com/classroombrew. If you're watching on the video, I'll put it right somewhere on the screen. This way I know that I'm pointing at it at some point. I'm not really sure. I just keep picturing like imagine I'm sitting in office hours or in the morning. Yes, you may get your work from the missing work folder. No, you cannot cheat on the test. Do not throw that across the room. What else would they ask? Who else needs a pencil? Please put your phone away. Which reminds me, Apple Watches are being a real pain in the ass because it's like, oh, put your phone with you. Like, okay, yeah, cool. I can see you. Stop it. But that's a whole nother conversation. If you actually want one teacher's opinion on social media and technology, check out Brian's episode on the Lazy Teacher podcast called Social Media. So this was all I had for you guys for episode 70. Mostly robot voices and weird thoughts, but I hope you guys did enjoy this. Again, if you want to check out the Lazy Teacher podcast, I recommend that, as well as Too Much Scrolling. I've been on those two shows. You can check out my Podchaser to see where Ryan Michael Smee has been on. It's kind of like IMDb, but for podcasts. So if you go to podchaser.com, search Ryan Michael, I'll be the one that pops up, or Ryan F on Podchaser. I'll be the only one and only. Please make sure to rate and review whatever app you're listening to. I don't care if it's Apple Podcasts or Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, whatever. But make sure that really helps out the show. We're featured anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, all that good stuff. Be sure to check out hashtag TeacherPods as well as hashtag 2pods-a-day. You can listen to other great indie and teacher podcasts around the world. Classroom Brew is a global podcast, technically. So be sure to support all those other podcasts. And then, of course, reach us, classroombrew@gmail.com, if you'd like to be on the show. We always post stuff on Instagram, but you can check us at Classroom Brew, as well as on Twitter at Classroom Brew. It's the same thing. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening and having a beer with one of your favorite teachers and favorite podcast hosts. But until next week, class dismissed.